All right, welcome to today's deep dive. Today we're looking at a piece of hardware that claims to be the bridge between the old world of fixed video matrices and the new IT infrastructure. We are diving into the Kramer KDS-8.
Right, it's interesting because on the surface, it really just looks like another black box.
Yeah.
But when you look at the data sheets, this is really a conversation about SDVoE, software-defined video over Ethernet.
Exactly. So moving AV over IP. And our mission for you today isn't just figuring out how to get video from point A to point B. It's understanding how this specific transceiver does it with zero latency and full 4K quality over standard copper networks.
Yeah, that's the key. We aren't talking about, a highly compressed stream you'd see on YouTube. This is pixel-perfect transport. It's designed to replace dedicated HDMI or HDBaseT cables entirely.
Let's start with the form factor itself. The standout feature in the specs is that the KDS-8 is a transceiver.
Which is a huge deal for inventory management. I mean, in the legacy world, you bought a transmitter for the table and a receiver for the display.
Right, and if you brought the wrong box to the site,
Or if a port on your switch changed, you were totally stuck.
but with this, you just toggle a setting in the software.
Yeah, you configure the exact same SUSU to be either an encoder or a decoder on the fly. And looking at the specs, it pushes serious bandwidth. We're talking 4K resolution at 60 Hz with 4.4.4 chroma sampling.
Which is critical for PC content, right? If you're projecting an Excel spreadsheet for your team or fine architectural drawings, you can't have that color compression.
Exactly. Or the text gets fuzzy and unreadable. It creates a true-to-source image. But the claim that usually raises eyebrows in this sector is the zero latency part.
Because zero is a dangerous word in AV. Usually there's at least some buffer.
True, but SDVoE technology operates under 100 microseconds. For a human using a mouse on a video wall, that feels instant. It's essentially gen-locked to the source.
Perfect for live environments where even a half-second delay would just be a disaster for the presenter.
Right. But you don't get that kind of performance for free.
Yeah.
Let's look under the hood at the infrastructure. You can't just plug this into a cheap home router.
No, this is a total bandwidth hog. The KDS-8 requires a 10G network interface. You're moving raw, uncompressed data.
You need that wide pipe. So for an integrator, this implies a significant infrastructure conversation. You absolutely need a managed switch.
This isn't plug and play in the consumer sense. The documentation specifies the switch has to support multicast, jumbo frames, and IGMP snooping.
Basically strict traffic control. Because if you don't configure that correctly, this device will flood the network and take down everything else.
So it requires a real handshake between the AV team and the IT department.
Absolutely. But on the plus side, it uses PoE, power over Ethernet.
Which means even if the network config is heavy, the physical install is super clean. No power bricks dangling behind the TV.
Exactly.
Now, if I'm deploying 50 of these in a command center or a sports bar, I'm not just plugging them in and hoping for the best. How are we managing all that traffic?
That is where the Kramer KDS-8 MNGR comes in. It's a separate hardware server required for anything complex.
Like video walls or multi-view configuration.
Right, or virtual matrix switching. The manager unit acts as the conductor.
And it handles the control layer too, because looking at the port layout on the unit itself, I see RS-232 and IR.
It acts as a tunnel. You can send a command from your control system over the IP network into the KDS-8 and out to the TV via RS-232.
Effectively extending your control processor to every endpoint without running extra control cables.
And that bidirectional capability is a massive lifesaver for troubleshooting. You can remotely confirm if a display is actually on.
It also breaks out audio, right? I saw an unbalanced analog audio port.
Yes, so you can strip audio from the HDMI stream to send to a separate amp, or inject audio into the stream. Gives you routing options that used to require a separate DSP.
So zooming out, the KDS-8 really represents a shift away from the traditional fixed chassis video switcher.
It certainly feels that way. We're moving from proprietary hardware with fixed inputs and outputs to a flexible IT network model.
Now the network switch is the matrix. You add a port, you add a device, and it scales infinitely.
Assuming your fiber backbone can take it.
Right. Which leaves us with a big question for you to ponder. As 10G switches drop in price and become standard corporate infrastructure, is there any reason left to buy a proprietary video matrix?
Or has the IT world finally swallowed AV whole?
Something to consider before your next install. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.